Hey, everybody. This is Peter Hafner, certified financial planner and certified financial fiduciary. And today, I wanted to do one of these live videos so I can get out right away because, as you're aware, Israel was recently attacked by Hamas. And now Israel is about to launch a major offensive action inside the West Bank. So, what I wanted to do is I just want to talk to you a little bit about your investments in the stock market and how war often affects your investments and the stock market. And I've got an article here. I'll do my best to link it into this article when I'm done, into this video when I'm done with it. But you can always Google it too. It's from Investopedia, and just look for Investopedia: How War Affects the Modern Stock Market. If you do that, you'll find it. Just in case I'm not able to get it in there. So, some key takeaways that they point out in this article is that though war and defense spending can amount to a sizable portion of the US GDP, wars often have little sustained impact on stock markets or economic growth at home. Number two, markets largely have ignored recent conflicts related to the Middle East and Iran. And a war between Russia, Ukraine, and NATO allies, however, may have a more severe impact, especially on oil and other commodity prices. And the last bullet point here is still the stock market recovered to pre-invasion levels only a matter of weeks after Russia invaded the Ukraine. So basically, markets often shrug off. I know this might be hard to believe, but that's the way it is. Markets often shrug off these types of events. And if you find this article and look at this article, there's a really interesting chart here. And what it shows is some of the major shocking events that have happened. The first one they show is Pearl Harbor. And they've got the date there, and they've got the S&P 500, how much it was down, the number of days before it bottomed out, and then the number of days until it recovered and got back up to where it was before. So Pearl Harbor, which obviously was a terrible major attack, in one day, the S&P 500 dropped 3.8%. And the total it went down after the attack was 19.8%. But the bottom came, you might be surprised by this, relatively quickly. 143 days later, it had hit its bottom. And 307 days after that, it had recovered and gone back up to its recent high. So I thought that was a little shocking. Now, if we look at some other Middle East type crises, there was the Suez Canal crisis back in 1956. And actually, on that day, the S&P 500 was up modestly. It was up 0.3%. And the total drawdown was down 1.5%. It hit its bottom 3 days later only. And 4 days later, the market was back up to where it had been. The S&P 500 was back up to where it had been. So the Suez crisis really didn't have an impact at all on the stock markets. Now, this particular attack happened on the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Yom Kippur War. So if we look at that one, what we see is the Yom Kippur War happened in October 6th of 1973. And the total drawdown from the attack to the bottom was 0.6%. The market reached its bottom 5 days later, and 6 days after that, it was back up at the highs it had been to before. So again, just not much of an impact on the stock market. What else might we want to look at here? Here's the North Korean missile crisis of 2017. The total drawdown was 1.5%. It was only 14 days to the bottom and 36 days to a full recovery. So for all these events I'm looking at, Pearl Harbor took almost a year. It took 307 days to get a full recovery, but the rest of them a lot of them are single digits until we get to a full recovery, and just tens of days, 36 days, 18 days, 15 days. So this is a really interesting chart to look at. Now, these types of events, they can really play with our emotions, though. They can really throw us off our game. They can put us in a situation where we're more likely to make bad decisions, which can cost us money. So, what I just want to remind everyone who's working with us is we have a plan in place. We're using our 3 bucket strategies. And in some cases, we've also got other ways of creating cash flow for you. So, really, we are anticipating downturns in the market. We are anticipating, we can't know that there's going to be an event like this exactly, but we know events like this will happen in the future, and we're ready for them. So, if you're worried about anything, please contact my office at service@hafnerfinancial.com, and we can schedule a meeting or a phone call or whatever we need to do to get you to a place where you're feeling good about things. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you found this useful. Please click the subscribe and the bell so you're alerted when we release new videos. And most importantly, have a great day.